Hello and welcome to Weekly News Highlights. Let's begin with key words that made headlines this week. As the trade deadline for a tariff deal with the United States looms, South Korea's newly appointed industry minister and the top trade negotiator is now in Washington for talks, as the country makes last-minute efforts to reach an agreement. Starting this week, the South Korean government began giving out cash handouts aimed at boosting spending. Many of those who received the vouchers say they'll be using them to pay for daily necessities, and small business owners are holding on to hope that this will help revive the economy. With less than 100 days left until the Apec leaders' meeting takes place here in South Korea, there are renewed hopes that the meeting will serve as an opportunity to show that Korea is back on track following political turmoil last year. With just a few days left until the August 1st deadline, South Korea's trade officials met with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick in Washington, but failed to reach an agreement. Our Moon-Hee-Ryun reports.
With just a week remaining before the U.S. imposes reciprocal tariffs, South Korean and U.S. trade officials met in Washington, D.C., but failed to reach a deal. On Thursday local time, Industry Minister Kim Jong-kwan and Chief Trade Negotiator Yeo Han-gu held an hour-long meeting with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. The meeting had originally been scheduled as a high-level session involving both countries' trade and finance ministers, but was abruptly changed after U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent cancelled due to scheduling conflicts. South Korea's Trade Ministry said that Seoul proposed deepening cooperation in manufacturing in sectors such as shipbuilding, semiconductors, and batteries, and urged that tariffs, especially on automobiles, be reduced. Although the meeting ended without a solid deal, the ministry revealed that the two sides agreed to hold follow-up talks as soon as possible. Meanwhile, South Korea's National Security Advisor Wi Sung-rak returned to Seoul on Thursday afternoon following a 4-day visit to the U.S. Wi said he met with several top officials and fully conveyed Seoul's position on the matter.
I talked with key officials, including National Security Advisor Marco Rubio, Deputy National Security Advisor Andy Baker, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer to support upcoming working-level talks. The negotiation process is now underway.
According to the presidential office, Rubio was unable to attend the in-person meeting due to an unexpected call from President Trump, but the two held a phone consultation instead, during which Rubio apologized for the last-minute cancellation. In the lead-up to the meeting, the U.S. turned up the pressure on Seoul by highlighting its trade deal with Japan that rolled back its tariffs from 25% to 15%. Lutnick told CNBC in an interview that as South Korea very much wants to make a deal, he could imagine their reactions when Tokyo struck a trade deal with Washington, saying that he could hear the expletives. Trump on the same day remarked that other countries could see tariff reductions if they make large-scale investments like Japan. With automobiles being a major export to the U.S. for both South Korea and Japan, there are concerns that Korean car makers could be placed at a disadvantage if Seoul fails to secure a similar reduction in tariffs. Looking ahead, Kim is set to meet with the chair of the White House National Energy Council, while Yeo will hold separate meetings with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer to further discuss tariffs and energy cooperation. Moon-Hee-Ryun, Arirang News.
Starting Monday, people in South Korea started applying for their livelihood recovery consumption coupons. They can generally only be spent at small local businesses and are aimed at reviving consumer spending and boosting the sluggish domestic economy. Our economic correspondent Park Junan explains more.
Registrations for the livelihood recovery consumption coupon, the first major economic stimulus under the Lee Jae-myung administration, started from 9 a.m. Monday. The Ministry of the Interior and Safety announced that the applications will be open for approximately 8 weeks until 6 p.m. on September 12th. The coupon program provides 150,000 Korean won, roughly $108 per recipient, with higher amounts for certain groups. 300,000 won will be given to low-income households and single-parent families, and 400,000 won for recipients of the basic livelihood subsidy. Residents from areas outside of Seoul, Incheon, and Gyeonggi-do province will receive an additional 30,000 won, while those living in one of the 84 designated rural areas at risk of depopulation will get an extra 50,000 won. People will receive coupons the day after application, and the coupons are valid until November 30th. The ministry says no coupons will be issued after the September 12th deadline, and those who don't apply will not receive any benefits. People can apply online through their bank or credit card sites or through local payment apps such as Seoul Pay Plus. They can also apply offline at their local government neighborhood office. Online registrations are available through either mobile devices or computers. To prevent system overload and congestion, the first week from Monday through Friday will follow a day-of-the-week system based on the last digit of the applicant's birth year, 1 or 6 on Monday, 2 or 7 on Tuesday, and so on. Weekend applications are only available online. Applicants can choose to receive coupons as credit debit cards, prepaid cards, or a community-based gift certificate which can only be used at registered merchants in the applicant's municipality. Coupons can only be used at small businesses with annual sales of 3 billion won or less. They are not valid at places such as large supermarkets, department stores, duty-free shops, and online malls. Foreign residents who fall under certain categories can also receive the coupons. The eligible groups are permanent residents, marriage migrants, recognized refugees, those who are listed on a resident registration document that includes at least one Korean citizen. To be eligible, they must be enrolled in the national health insurance system, either as a subscriber, dependent, or recipient. The government says the livelihood coupon should stimulate consumption and boost the local economy. Park Junan, Arirang News.
The first round of cash handouts began on Monday as those in South Korea started applying for their consumption vouchers aimed at improving people's livelihoods and revitalizing the local economy. Our Moon Ji-young went out to hear people's reactions on the first day of distribution.
Immense public interest was evident on the first day of applications for the Livelihood Recovery Consumption coupons. Older members of society were seen lining up in front of community centers to apply, while the widespread enthusiasm also led to some credit card website servers crashing.
I'm here at a local market in southern Seoul. The coupons can be used at small businesses like these.
Many have said that they will be using the coupons to pay for daily necessities.
Once I get this cash handout, I can definitely cut down on what I spend on food. So I think it'll really lighten the load, at least for a bit.
You see, I've got 3 kids, and honestly, their academy fees cost more than I thought they would. Since it isn't exactly cheap, I really want to put this towards my kids' education expenses.
On the small business front, owners are holding on to the hope that the consumption coupons will give the economy at least a temporary lift.
I think it'll be easier for people who might have eaten less meat because it's pricey now. We expect this to create a virtuous cycle for the entire livestock industry. And if our sales increase significantly, allowing us to pay more in taxes, I believe that would be beneficial for everyone.
I guess with these livelihood coupons, consumer spending will pick up for a little while, but it won't last long. So the market will probably only be active for a bit. And once these coupons are all used up, I'm worried the economy might drop again.
Experts expect the coupons to boost consumption. However, they also point out that they are a stimulus measure rather than an economic growth strategy.
When looking at different income levels, for high-income earners and upper-middle-income earners, the issuance of these consumption coupons is more likely to result in an increase in excess savings rather than driving additional consumption. Conversely, for lower-middle-income earners and below, we believe these consumption coupons will clearly and directly translate into consumption.
Meanwhile, the government plans to meticulously work with local governments to ensure that not a single citizen misses out on receiving them. Moon Ji-young, Arirang News.
Following the recent intense downpours in South Korea, President Lee Jae-myung urged officials to spare no effort in helping those affected by the heavy rain and designated 6 cities or counties as special disaster zones. Our top office correspondent Yoon Jung-min reports.
The day after returning to his office from a flood-hit area in the south, the president began Tuesday's cabinet meeting by noting the suffering of the people from days of heavy rains and extreme heat.
그 망연자실하게 무너진 집, 떠나간 가족들을 생각하면서 그 아무 표정도 짓지 못하던 그분들을 국정을 책임진 대통령으로서 우리 국민 한 분 한 분이 겪는 그런 삶의 고통에 대해서 좀 더 예민해지도록 노력하겠습니다.
He once again urged his cabinet to spare no effort in helping those affected and searching for the missing, while speeding up the designation of special disaster zones. The first to be designated for state funding were 6 cities or counties, including Gapyeong in Gyeonggi-do Province, Damyeong in Jeollanam-do, and Sancheong in Gyeongsang-nam-do. Special grants of 5.5 billion won, worth nearly $4 million, will be used to help several regions recover, including Gwangju and Gyeongsang-nam-do Province. President Lee Jae-myung went on to urge his cabinet to look for new approaches, which could involve leveraging technologies such as AI.
이번에 장마 폭우를 보면서 기존의 방식과 시설, 장비, 대응책만으로 대응에 한계가 있다는 생각이 좀 들었습니다. 좀 근본적인 대책을 새롭게 구성해 보도록.
This as 9 new cabinet members attended the meeting, including ministers in charge of finance, labor, and safety, signaling the start of a full-fledged new government.
Our economy faces very tough conditions. In the short term, we need to revive the livelihoods of the people and respond to tariff negotiations with the U.S. In the longer term, we should build the real Republic of Korea, real growth.
Another focus was on minimizing industrial accidents, for which the cabinet approved a revised law to disclose to builders if any such accidents occur at construction sites. In clear reflection of daunting tasks ahead, the president asked his new cabinet to be mindful of the work they do, calling them a touchstone for the future that greatly affects the lives of every person in the country. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
South Korea is starting to see a rise in number of babies. According to new data released by Statistics Korea on Wednesday, the country recorded an increase in births for the 11th consecutive month in May. This comes amid a nationwide policy push and delayed marriages during the pandemic, leading to births. Looking at the year up to May, the total number of babies stands at more than 106,000, which is up 6.9% compared to the same period last year. This is the fastest growth rate recorded since 1981, when data started being collected. Statistics Korea is now showing cautious optimism amid the country's struggle with a demographic crisis.
The rise in marriages has played a role, along with an increase in the number of women entering their early 30s, a key childbearing age group. There's also been a gradual shift toward a more positive perception of childbirth.
But the country's fertility rate still stands at 0.75, meaning the population is still shrinking. Some experts say that a more long-term plan is necessary to bring the rate up to a healthy level, with policies to push marriages and births through financial support having limited impact. Japan's ruling coalition has lost control of the upper house in a major political setback. For the first time in 70 years, the long-ruling Liberal Democratic Party has failed to hold its majority in both the lower and upper houses. Our Choi Soo-young reports.
Japan's ruling coalition has failed to secure a majority in the upper house. In the election on Sunday, the ruling coalition, comprised of the Liberal Democratic Party and its partner Komeito, lost its majority, gaining only 47 seats. To keep the majority, the ruling coalition parties needed to win at least 50 seats, adding to the 75 they already held. But the LDP won just 39 and Komeito got 8, falling short of the target. Currently, Japan's House of Councillors has 248 members, each serving a 6-year term. Every 3 years, half of the seats are up for election, and this year, 125 seats were voted on, including 1 vacant seat in Tokyo. As a result, the ruling camp now holds 122 seats, while the opposition claimed 126, taking over the upper house. Following last year's major defeat in the House of Representatives election, the Liberal Democratic Party has lost ground again. This is the first time since the party was founded in 1955 that the LDP-led government has failed to hold a majority in both the lower and upper houses. Taking its place is the rising Democratic Party for the People, which advocates a moderate line and gained strong support, winning 17 seats. The party earned votes with appeals to ordinary people, such as raising take-home pay and lowering insurance costs for young people. The right-leaning Sansato won 14 seats by promoting a Japanese-first policy, including restrictions on foreign land ownership in Japan, despite criticism for discriminating against foreigners. Voter turnout was 58.52%, rising more than 6 percentage points compared to 3 years ago. Regardless of the election results, experts say bilateral cooperation between South Korea and Japan will remain positive, especially on external threats.
We need to deal with this non-conventional, new emerging threat as well. And of course, challenges from China, technologically, economically, and even politically, is not simple at all. So having had all this, conflicts and threats and challenges surrounding us, I think, again, the bilateral relationship will remain pretty much, again, the cooperative.
Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba is now expected to come under pressure to resign after the consecutive defeats. However, right after exit polls, he stated that he would fulfill his responsibility as the leader of the largest party, showing his determination to remain in office. Choi Hyung, Arirang News.
This week, we're less than 100 days from opening of Apec 2025 Korea. So to discuss which global figures may be attending and sensitive geopolitical developments unfolding behind the scenes, we're joined by our foreign affairs correspondent Oh Soo-young today. Welcome, Soo-young.
Hi, and it's great to be here.
So Soo-young, first a big headline. Is North Korean leader Kim Jong-un really being invited to Apec?
Well, at this stage, no, but later maybe. There's currently no formal effort to invite North Korea to Apec this year. The Unification Ministry told reporters Thursday that there are no ongoing discussions on inviting Chairman Kim Jong-un. Meanwhile, the Foreign Ministry put out a separate statement that North Korea is not an Apec member and is not eligible in principle to attend. But it said that the host country can invite non-member states for informal dialogue. The presidential office also clarified that North Korea was not among the formally invited countries and that an invitation would have to be considered by the foreign policy and unification circles. It seems, though, that the idea is very much being explored behind the scenes. National Intelligence Service Director Lee Jong-seok reportedly briefed the president before he took office that APEC could serve as a potential platform for dialogue between the two Koreas, the United States and China. Unification Minister Chung Dong-young has also expressed support for the idea. He said during his July 14th confirmation hearing that it would be a, quote, historic opportunity. On Friday, the day of his inauguration, the minister actually went to the joint inter-Korean border area of Panmunjom to examine the communication line between the two Koreas. And as minister under the Roh Moo-hyun administration in 2005, Chung had previously pushed to invite Kim Jong-il to the Busan APEC forum as an observer. Diplomatic insiders say, though, that the likelihood of Kim Jong-un attending this year's APEC remains extremely low.
There is no precedent that North Korean leader to participate this multilateral mechanism or multilateral dialogue, because North Korea, they do have a one-man rule, which we call that 수령 system. 수령 means that top leader. According to their concept, the 수령 is not supposed to with any other leaders, and 수령 should be a one top and not mingled with other common leaders.
In order to extend an invitation to the North, the inter-Korean liaison channels must be restored first. But that's not even the case. In my view, North Korea is still designated as a hostile state by two countries. So how could he suddenly attend under those circumstances? Also considering that the war in Ukraine is still going on, the possibility of a Trump-Kim summit being held at Panmunjom or anywhere else around that area is not very high either.
But never say never, because a lot could happen in 3 months.
So Soo-young, what about other big names, Presidents Trump and Xi? Are they expected to attend?
Well, according to diplomatic sources I've spoken to, as well as those cited in other media outlets, it seems that China has unofficially confirmed that President Xi Jinping will be attending the APEC forum in Korea. Now, this would mark his first trip to South Korea since 2014. With that, there's growing speculation in both Seoul and Washington that a Trump-Xi summit could be held on the sidelines in Gyeongju, which would mark their first in-person meeting since Trump's return to the White House.
It's not that easy to meet these two leaders before the APEC. So this could be a first time that meet these two great powers leader. And at the same time, this multilateral setting is getting important in this kind of very unpredictable world.
On the US side, Donald Trump has not officially confirmed he will attend, but Seoul officials are preparing for his attendance, it seems. And I'd imagine that the Yi administration sees both leaders attending as crucial to raising APEC's profile and possibly laying the groundwork for parallel discussions on Korean Peninsula issues, bilateral trade and security in the Indo-Pacific.
And that leads to the broader significance of this year's APEC for South Korea.
That's right, Unji. It is a very crucial moment for South Korea. It's deeply symbolic. It comes after the months-long political turbulence in South Korea surrounding now impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol's brief martial law declaration in December last year. Now, with this crisis behind us, hosting APEC gives the new government a rare chance to reset its image on the global stage. South Korea has positioned the APEC forum as a revival of K-democracy and its role in promoting multilateralism.
Over the years, Korea has built trust and meaningful contributions in the international community. Building on that, the APEC Economic Leaders Meeting, which is returning to Korea after 20 years, will serve as a great opportunity for us to show that we will restore our K-democracy and that Korea is back on track after the political challenges we faced last year. The emblem and the smile of Sheila not only reflect our warmth and hospitality and openness, but also Korea's commitment in fulfilling our role as a responsible member of the international community.
So Soo-young, finally, walk us through what to expect at this year's APEC.
Under the theme of building a sustainable tomorrow, leaders from 21 member economies will address emerging challenges for the region. Seoul is pushing to adopt related initiatives in the interest of future generations, from cooperation on artificial intelligence and addressing demographic changes as a key initiative among many other global issues. Now, highlighting the need to, quote, connect, innovate and prosper, Korea hopes to see many deliverables emerge, including a standalone document alongside the Gyeongju Declaration that will be adopted at the leaders' meeting in late October.
All right, thank you for that, Soo-young. Let's watch the development until October.
Sure, let's do that, Unji.
With less than 100 days left till the 2025 APEC leaders meeting, the host city Gyeongju is holding a set of cultural events. Our An Sung-jin went to check out an exhibition that involves 4 artists representing Korean modern and contemporary art, taking place in celebration of the grand event.
A collection of 4 of the greatest. Kim Won-gi, Park Soo-gun, Lee Jung-sub, and Jang Wook-jin are artists who represent Korean contemporary art, and works of all 4 can be seen together at Gyeongju Art Center. In celebration of the 2025 APEC Economic Leaders Meeting taking place in Gyeongju this fall, the exhibition, a collaboration between MMCA and Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power, puts the spotlight on Korean art. These 4 leading figures of modern and contemporary art reflect the hardships of their era as well as Korea's tradition and nature, which they show through their own unique artistic style. Kim Won-gi is known as the pioneer of Korean abstract art through his notable pieces, including mountains. His signature style of all-over dot paintings is often seen on canvases filled with blue dots. Park Soo-gun also had his own style in portraying human goodness with layers of oil paint, as seen with his painting Under the Tree. And just like Park, who illustrated the hardships of ordinary people in post-war Korea, Lee Jung-sup expressed his hardships and emotions, such as deep longing for his family, using silver foil paintings like in Family. And like all other artists, Cha Wook-jin also focused on the everyday aspects of life that are reflected on his canvases through simple yet clear depictions, as seen in Village.
I got to see all the artists in one spot, and as someone who's interested in art, I had to see the artworks up close. Pieces from artist Kim Hwang-gi are not so easily seen, and to see the change throughout his work was moving.
Through the special exhibition with all 4 artists, visitors can see the essence of Korean beauty. And the Gyeongju Foundation for Arts and Culture notes that more such events in accordance with the Apec Economic Leaders Meeting will take place to boost the city.
Holding such a large-scale exhibition means a lot. Not only will it contribute to the vitalization of regional culture and art, but by hosting these exhibitions outside of Seoul and the capital area, allow local residents to explore these cultural events and boost their pride.
This exhibition runs till October, so for those interested in exploring Korean contemporary and modern art, visit the historical city of Gyeongju. An Sung-jin, Arirang News, Gyeongju.
That is all we have for this edition of Weekly News Highlights. Thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your weekend.